So unlike the Cleveland Browns, I am actually going back to the Super Bowl for the 5th time. Now, I'm actually going to the city for the 5th time, but this is only the 3rd time I'm actually going to get to see the game. So let me explain. The Super Bowl is kind of on the top of most people's bucket list to enter sweepstakes, but not everyone. And we'll go over why in a minute. But I thought I'd share with you my past 4 experiences, what it's like, what to expect, and things to think about if it's on your list and you want to try and get to the Super Bowl next year in San Francisco. Well, you gotta start planning now. So I say I've won 5, or I've been 5 times. I haven't even won all 5 of them. I've actually, the first time I won a trip to the city, which was New Orleans, same place it's this year. The second time, I actually won a trip to the game, got to go to the game. Third time, same thing, got to go to the game. The 4th time, I was a guest of somebody who won a trip to the halftime show with Pepsi. And then this year, same thing. I'm a guest of someone who actually won a trip to the Super Bowl, and I am going to get to see the game on Sunday. So I want to show you some photos, show you some experiences, and give you some things to think about if you really want to win one of these trips. In my opinion, winning a trip to the Super Bowl was one of the top experiences you could win when I started entering sweepstakes. It was on my bucket list. As a big sports fan, I wanted to go to the Super Bowl. Now, unfortunately, ticket prices have become so high that it's priced some people out of even trying to win one of those trips. Why? Unfortunately, there's tax ramifications with winning a trip to the Super Bowl. And the value of a trip to the Super Bowl nowadays, most trips are between $15,000 and $25,000. Years ago, you could often find one for under $5,000. But now they've become quite high, as mainly ticket prices are high. This year, hotels are very high. Whenever the Super Bowl's in New Orleans, they have very limited hotel availability. So it becomes very hard to find a hotel, especially at the last second. Now, most of these judging agencies and promotional companies, they're smart enough, they book these things out well in advance, but not everyone. So let's start with the first one. The first time I ever got notified I won was back in 2013, and I actually won from Guinness. I won, it was something to do with, you had to post a photo of your tailgate, and it was random, and they notified me, and in big words throughout all the paperwork, it said, does not include game tickets, does not include game tickets. But it was a trip to New Orleans for Super Bowl week. Now, don't get me wrong, they planned everything out for us. They gave us an amazing experience, but we didn't get to go to the game. And I remember even the day of the game debating buying tickets. At that time, that year, ticket prices were down, and you could get a ticket just to get in for about $1,600-1,700, and I wouldn't do it. And I look back at that, boy, I wish I would have spent that money, because you can never come close to touching a ticket for typically at least double that. This year is one of the lowest tickets in the past 5 or 6 years, because prices keep coming down because availability in New Orleans is high. But let me share some photos of that first experience and talk about it. So this was the first experience. And like I said, I didn't get to go to the game, but they sent us to all kinds of events. One of the events they sent us to was the Celebrity Beach Bowl. You guys may remember they used to do the Celebrity Beach Bowl, and all kinds of players and athletes, as well as music stars, and just a ton of famous people playing this beach bowl. Now, they gave us VIP access to everything, so we always had food and drinks and special treatment. Really was done nice. One of my favorite things, I don't have a lot of the photos of it, but we went to the DirecTV Super Bowl party. Now, for those who have been to the cities that the Super Bowls are going on, you know that the Super Bowl parties start at like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and then they go to like 3 or 4. On ours, it was the DirecTV Super Bowl party, and it was hosted by Mark Cuban, the former owner of the Dallas Mavericks. But the biggest thing was that Justin Timberlake performed for maybe 2,000 people, and at the time he hadn't done a tour in years, so it was a really big deal. It was super cool to see him, but I think he ended up going on stage at around 2 a.m. I think this party started somewhere around 10 o'clock or so. I remember being in line for it, and Lee was with me, and we were both thinking how late it was that we're getting in line to go to this party. But it was fantastic. Some of you guys may know Carl Edwards, former NASCAR racer. I happened to be walking down the street, and he was actually in the smoothie store. Some of you know there used to be a smoothie store right by the Harris Casino there, or now Caesars Casino. And he was in there getting a smoothie. I was like, hey, that's Carl Edwards. So I was able to chat with him, get a photo with him. Kind of cool. I had won a bunch of trips to see Pitbull perform, and he never showed up. So it was interesting because I actually got to see him perform twice this week. Once was at the Bud Light stage, and then once was at the Celebrity Beach Bowl as well. So where did I watch the game? After having a special breakfast with about 40 people in Michael Strahan, which was one of the events they did, I ended up over at the Bud Light Hotel. Now, some of you guys remember Bud Light used to give away tons of trips, and they would basically take over a whole hotel. Well, fortunately, over the years, I made friends with a lot of people with Bud Light, and so they gave me a personal invite to come and watch the game with them and hang backstage for their concert. So this is a picture of us. Some of you guys may remember it, and you were probably there in this audience. We were backstage for the concert, and that's where we ended up watching the game with some friends and some of the people with Bud Light. So let's fast forward to the first time I really won a trip. And we fast forward to 2017. 2017 was the first time I actually won a trip to the game, and I found out about a month before. And all I cared about was that it was going to be a good game. I just wanted to see a good game. Didn't care who was going to be in it, just wanted to see a good game. In the end, it ended up being the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots. When New England won, I was kind of excited because I'm not a New England fan, but you know, I wanted to see Tom Brady. I wanted to see Tom Brady win a Super Bowl, but more importantly, just wanted to see a great game. Now, you'll notice some of these pictures are from the Taste of the NFL. We actually didn't win these tickets. We ended up buying them from a member who had won them and was not going to be using them. So the Taste of the NFL is a great charity event they do in the host city of the Super Bowl. Tickets are usually in the $700 to $1,000 a piece range. Any of these party tickets and stuff are very expensive. Now, I did not pay that from them. They gave me a much better deal because they could not use them. But it's a phenomenal event. There's tons of great food. There's athletes representing almost every team. So as you can see, like Carl Mecklenburg was there from the Denver Broncos. Delaney Walker was there representing Houston, or Tennessee at the time, I'm sorry. This was the current Miss America. Just a phenomenal event. I think Keenan McCardell, yeah, from the Jaguars. And then, you know, they had a concert there as well. OAR was there for the tailgate party. And then, you know, we got to go to the game. These were where our seats were. We were just about 10 rows up in the end zone. It was actually the end zone that James White scored the game-winning touchdown. You'll notice our tickets. they no longer have these paper tickets and these beautiful lanyards that so many people have saved them. Everything is digital now. So I don't know where our seats are Sunday, but I believe they went to digital a couple of years ago. I could be wrong on that. I hope I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's how all the tickets are now. The halftime show that year was Lady Gaga. The halftime show is very different at the game than on TV. The sound quality, everything is just night and day different. This was right after the winning touchdown was scored in overtime. You can see where we were at in our seats compared to where it actually happened. Obviously, one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time, arguably, with the game, ending in overtime, the great comeback by New England and James White scoring. So we were very, very fortunate. Stop this share for a second. We're very fortunate on this trip that we had amazing seats. Most Super Bowl trips do not come with amazing seats. Most of them come with upper deck level seats, and these stadiums are huge, so they're not the greatest seats in the world a lot of times. We were lucky. We were really lucky on that, and this was directly from the NFL. So NFL On Location, which is their partner to do their Super Bowl trips, puts it out. If you can win a trip from NFL On Location, they are amazing from top to bottom, start to finish, you name it. So they even sent us like gifts before the Super Bowl and then gifts after from NFL On Location. One of the coolest things when we got notified and our information, everything, was they sent out a box and you opened it up, and this was it was highlights of the previous 50 Super Bowls. You opened it up and it was this video that ran and got you all excited about the game and said, you're going to the Super Bowl and all this good stuff. Some of you may have seen the video. It's probably still up on the iWIN site, and I still have these. I doubt they work, but I still have these boxes. Let me see if I can get it right. Yeah, I actually know right where they are. These were the boxes. I can't imagine they're still going to play. This is years later. Let's see. But yeah, you opened them up, and it had the video, and then you had your welcome to the Super Bowl letter. So these things were super cool, and we each got one because there were two of them. I imagine if I had a battery, I could still play it. I might have to figure that out. But they included tailgate passes, so we were able to go to the stadium beforehand, have food, drinks. There were all kinds of musical acts, different things like that. So it was wonderful, great experience from top to bottom. I can't say thanks enough to them. Once in a lifetime, right? That's what you think. And then 2 years later, share this, lightning strikes again. And I find out going back to the Super Bowl. Now, the interesting thing on this one, I found out the Thursday before the game. Like, the game wasn't that Sunday, it was a week later on Sunday. But I had just finished writing iWIN, and I get a call, and the guy starts asking me all these questions and what I'm doing on this date and all this stuff. And I knew pretty quick it was for the Super Bowl, but you enter a lot of these things and you're not positive what the trip included. I enter a lot of tickets only. I enter for some of the Super Bowl parties and the events that don't include even tickets to the game. So I wasn't sure, even like to the point when I got off the phone, I wasn't positive. To the point he just said, I'll call you tomorrow. We'll verify all your information, make sure everything checks out. And if so, you'll be, our winner for the Super Bowl. because remember, you're always a potential winner. They have to check you out, make sure that everything adds up, that you're eligible, that you were in the proper state you entered, all that good stuff. Some of them have background checks, especially for the Super Bowl. So we ended up finding out on that Friday officially we had won. Now this was it was a bare basics trip. Tickets, hotel, air. That's it. To the point when we landed, we actually had to go to an on-site ticket broker, which is very common for the Super Bowl, and actually pick up our tickets. And they had asked us when we got there, send them a picture of the tickets, let them know we got them, send us pictures when we were at the game. They really wanted to make sure that we were going to the game. There are a lot of people who sell tickets. I'm not going to get into is that right, is that wrong, etc. That's up to you to decide. Personally, I win a trip to the Super Bowl, I'm going. Even if I win tickets only, I'm going to figure it out and go. But here's some of the pictures from it. When you land in most of the cities, they have these welcome signs that you can get your photos taken in. So I will probably do that again in New Orleans this year. This is Lee and I outside of the stadium. It was the New England Patriots versus the Los Angeles Rams at the time. And I did wear a Brady shirt that year. So I decided that's what I was going to root for and support. The NFL experience goes on in all the cities. It's a great, huge event. This is the NFL experience. I'll be doing it again in New Orleans. Anyone can go to it with a ticket. Tickets are usually like $20 or less. Sometimes the weekend tickets are a little more. Like I know the weekend tickets in New Orleans this year, I think are $40. There were just all kinds of things. You can see this was the face value back in 2019. That's about doubled now on what a face value is. And here's what I was talking about. This is the NFL experience. There's all kinds of live tapings during the week and different shows. This is actually Guy Fieri, who was happened to be making football with Wilson when I was there. We were able to get tailgate passes again from a member who had won them who was not using them. We purchased them from them. The tailgate is it's really nice because you're there hours ahead of the game. You don't have to worry about traffic. After the game, we jumped on their public transportation to go back to, it actually took us to the airport. From the airport, we could take the airport shuttle over or Uber, either or. So that was Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw was the headliner for that. This is where our seats were. Our seats were upper deck. They weren't bad seats, as you can see. We were kind of lower in the upper deck. We actually had aisle seats. Boring game, but Tom Brady did come out ahead again. So these are taken from our seat. Maroon 5 was the halftime show that year. And the confetti that you always see, and people rushing on the field after. And then this was where they present the Vince Lombardi trophy. Leaving the game, we happen to see Conor McGregor, who looked like he had a good time at the game as well. So just another very unique experience. And I say take in the experience because you never know if you're going to be back. And we've had a lot of members win multiple times to go to the Super Bowl, obviously, including myself, but you never know. And I've been trying every year since because I really want to take my brother, and I haven't been able to win. But in 2022, one of my friends and I remember won, and it was for the halftime show. Pepsi used to give away tons of trips for the halftime show, and be like 50 people or 100 people, and you would go out there. They would typically take you to like the Taste of the NFL or the NFL Experience, and then you would go to the Super Bowl halftime show. Not the game. You don't get to see the game at all. And everyone's like, oh, you sneak away. You're not sneaking away. I'll tell you that much. So We did. It was out in California. It was the Westin, the wonderful hotel that they put us up in Long Beach. We did do the NFL experience. I don't really have many photos from the NFL experience. This was them making the footballs. Wilson and the folks from Ada, Ohio, are always there making footballs, and you can buy them. This was when I landed. Like I said, they always have the photo ops. Marshawn Lynch was there. He was not signing autographs on anything except Subway subs that year. So you can see he's actually signing a Subway sub. That's how you could get an autograph. And the line was ridiculous. That's SoFi Stadium where the game was. Now, how's this work when you win the halftime show? Well, they put you in a holding area. And the holding area happened to be a college. I think it was USC, was where we got lunch. We did all the background checks, the security checks. There's tons of checks. You can see I had to go through all these different checks to make sure, because they were letting me into the stadium and on the field. I also had to do background checks first. This one is actually chipped. You scanned to go on the field, you scanned to come off, so they knew you were off. You scanned to leave the building so that they knew that you were accounted for and out of the building. But they wanted to make sure they tracked you everywhere. So when it gets closer to, well, once the game starts, they bus you over to the game and you wait. Let's see where my photo is. Us waiting. This is us waiting in the tunnel to go out onto the field. Now, this was as we were walking out onto the field for halftime, but you wait down there. And one of my favorite parts about waiting was an iWIN member was being escorted out to their VIP area to watch the halftime show from a sweepstakes that they had won. They were up in a suite and they walked by and said, "Hey, Tom, how are you?" So it was kind of funny to run into them in the tunnel at the Super Bowl. You know, how many times you going to do that? So they take you out on the field. You walk out onto the field, and this is them setting up. Some of you guys may remember this. This was the with Snoop Dogg and Eminem halftime show. But they set you all up. Everything has all these like I want to say mats, but it's not. It's like tarps over the field so they don't mess up the field. And this was where we were situated. We were right in this corner. So all the performers were in front of us, but we were right in this corner, and that's where we got to watch. Now we went all in, and we dressed to the part. Now you figure you're only going to do this once, you may as well enjoy it. As soon as halftime's over, they usher you off the field. Now the interesting part, though, was that we got stuck. You can see some of these photos. And we were leaving, and we got stuck behind the bench, about 4 of us. So this is me behind the Rams bench for halftime of the Super Bowl. There's the Rams and Cincinnati Bengals that year. And we couldn't move until all the players were out. So we're taking, videos and taking videos and photos, just kind of taking this all in, because again, I'm behind the bench of, at that time, the future Super Bowl champions at halftime. There was one picture I had where when I'm behind the bench, Stafford's warming up, and it wasn't. Yeah, I must not have it on here, but it was a picture of Stafford warming up, and I'm on the bench. So, really cool experience, to say the least. Different. They bussed us back. We got to the hotel with about 2 minutes left in the game. Got to watch the final 2 minutes from our hotel room. If you want to go to the game and enjoy the game, or you enjoy watching the game, a halftime show trip is not for you. Pepsi, this was the last year Pepsi did it. So Apple has taken over now, and at least I haven't seen them doing trips like this for people anymore. So I don't know if that will eventually change, but some tips if you want to get to the Super Bowl. One, you need to be a member of iWIN. I mean, iWIN finds the Super Bowl trips. Every year we usually have, 20, 30 people going to the game. This year's no different. A lot of times you have to be able to go last minute. So about half of our winners have found out in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, including we had people find out this week they're going to be going to the game, which is this weekend. So to the point they need to get paperwork, get flights, get hotels, everything. Now, sometimes they're tickets only, so you need to get all that stuff yourself. A lot of times it covers everything. So the 2 people who won this week, one was tickets only, one was everything. So and it's actually on a 2-night trip. So they're actually flying in Saturday, they'll go to the game on Sunday, and then they'll fly back on Monday. There are times when you can win now for next year. In fact, there's some sweeps up on the site. And that's always great because you have a whole year to be excited and plan. I would love to win a trip like that, where I had a whole year to plan and be excited. This time, even as a guest, I just found out, a little over a week ago that I was going to do this. Don't get me wrong, just as excited, but I'd love to know that a year in advance that was going. Enter everything. That should kind of be common sense, but there's a lot of skill sweeps. A lot of times those skill sweeps, skill being that they're judged, don't get a ton of entries. At least not as many as just filling out an entry form. So if you have some talent in that, whether they're asking for a video, a photo, maybe an essay, try some of those. Maybe you'll get lucky and get into one of those. But definitely use iWIN. Definitely keep track of all our social media. We're going to be in New Orleans all weekend. I'll be posting all kinds of different videos and highlights of some of the things I get to do. And hopefully you'll be at the big game or Super Bowl or whatever you want to call it next year or in the future too. See you soon.